Hello everyone! Today we are ready to create art for a mobile. What's a mobile? A mobile is a hanging sculpture that can be balanced either way by the weight of whatever's hanging from it. These mobiles are by Alexander Calder, an artist born in 1898 who was the second child of two artist parents. His dad was a sculptor and his mom was a painter. He started creating his own art from the age of 8, and he always had a workshop wherever his family lived. His first sculpture was a tiny dog, and the next one was a duck that was kinetic, just like a mobile. We're going to use that as inspiration for our own mobile, and we're going to use string and some cereal boxes. So our goal here is to create the art for our mobile. We'll need a cereal box, paper, scissors, and glue. So I'm just going to open my cereal box up and cut these tabs off. Cut my cereal box open, and then I'm going to create a panel with just these flat pieces of cereal box without the tabs. So I'm using this book, Paper Fun for Kids, for inspiration. I'm going to start with my first spaceship, and I'm looking for some big shapes that I can use on this cereal box. So I'm going to divide it in half. So I'm going to do one spaceship on this side and one spaceship on the other side. I'm going to use that whole space that I have so that these ships are nice and big and easy for the audience to see. I'm putting a mark at the edge where I want my spaceship to end. And these marks are kind of like connect the dots. They just help guide me and make sure that my spaceship is nice and big and fills up the whole paper. Next, I'm going to take my time and carefully cut these out. I'm just opening my scissors really wide so that they're taking a bite from the bottom edge of my scissors. Alright, I have those cut out. Next, I'm using inspiration from some astronauts like Winston Scott. Look him up. He had some great hobbies like playing the trumpet and karate. Here we have Jessica Meir, who is still on a mission today as a flight engineer. She's been in space for 186 days already. So when I'm creating my astronauts, I'm going to use up this whole panel. And I'm just starting with 3 basic lines and connecting the dots together. Again, I want this really big so that it's easy to see and I can have even astronauts. These should be even because part of creating a mobile is creating pieces that balance, pieces that are going to balance well together. So these need to be about the same size. So I might need to make some adjustments, and then I'm going to start drawing the face. There's different proportions for the face, sort of like where things line up. For example, the eyes are halfway between the top of the head and the chin. So I'm just going to draw my eyes about halfway down. Add some eyebrows, some ears. So proportions are where things line up on the face. Make sure your pencil is nice and sharp and draw lightly so it's easy to erase. What details and expressions can you add for the characters you're creating? I'm just taking my time and trying to envision what I want this astronaut to look like. And then of course I'm going to outline with colored pencil and just take my time. If you have crayons, you can use those too. I'm just trying to stay inside the lines and do my best job coloring these astronauts I've created. You might need to use a few different colors. And the more details you add, the more interesting it'll be to look at. Alright, so I got these pretty much colored. I just need to finish I need to finish this. I need to make some adjustments here and then now when you're cutting this out, take your time. Cut the biggest shapes out first. Biggest shapes out. See how I'm just kind of going around and cutting those biggest shapes. I'm not getting down to the details yet. I'm going to do those last. I worked really hard on this, so I don't want to cut something I don't mean to cut on accident. So I'm really going to take my time, focus, and pay attention to what I'm doing. I'm opening my scissors up really wide, see? And I'm using that to guide my cutting. You can also cut a little slice out of these tight spaces where you want to cut a space out. Just cut a little slice so that you can maneuver your scissors in there and cut that edge off. Getting all those details now and taking my time. Okay, now the back of these have the cereal box details on, so I'm gonna glue this onto just a white piece of paper to match my spacesuit. And I'm putting that book down to flatten it and prevent it from moving. Of course, I'm gonna let it dry. And once it's dry, I'm just gonna do the same thing, cut it out carefully. Now, if I were you, I would decorate the back of your astronauts, adding details to those. It's up to you. If you have construction paper, colored paper, you can fold it in half. And when you fold this paper in half and you trace this, you'll have a duplicate cut. That means it's the exact same shape, it's the exact same cut. Instead of having to cut your paper out twice, you can just cut it once. This duplicate cut. And what do you think I'm going to do with these? I am going to glue them on. If you have stick glue, use that. If you don't, you have just liquid glue, use a paintbrush to spread that glue out. Sometimes it gets a little bit lumpy. And I'm gonna wait till it dries and then move on to the next side. You can also use colored pencils or crayons if you don't have construction paper. And of course, I'm gonna add some details, add variety. I don't need this huge piece of paper, so I'm just gonna cut off the bottom and I'm gonna fold it so I can have duplicate cuts. And I'm just gonna draw with my scissors, coming up with some wavy lines. And going to come up with some really cool designs to add to my spaceship. Variety is a number of different types of things. It could be different types of shapes, colors. All right, So what I got here is we're gonna get our cereal box and we're gonna decorate it. We can use construction paper or we can use colored pencils. And then we're gonna cover that cereal box up with our decorations. Yep, you got it. I'm gonna do both sides of this because this mobile is gonna have two sides. Now, if you want, if you have some paint you can use, then cover one of the sides of a spaceship with colored paper. Just glue on that side because that side isn't as easy to paint on. But this side, you can paint. If you have tempera or acrylic, you can paint on this side. And for me, I'm gonna add a variety of shapes just to make it more interesting. Adding details. Plus, I'm developing my drawing skills. Fine motor skills. The ability to do things small. I have the primary colors, which are red, yellow, and blue. Red and yellow mixed together makes orange. And blue and yellow mixed together creates green. I'm using the end of my paintbrush to mix these colors. And the last one, red and blue make what? Any guesses? Red and blue make purple. So I'm mixing some of these colors and I'm adding white, which will tint these colors lighter. White is a tint. It creates a lighter tint of the shade that you mixed. Of course, I need to clean my paintbrush really good between each color so that they don't get mixed up. And then I'm going to take my time painting inside each shape. Uh-oh, I got some paint on the table here. Put a mat down or maybe even an extra cereal box so that you don't get a lot of paint on the table. It'll make for a faster cleanup. Now I've taken my time, painted inside each shape, and now I'm going to paint around the shapes. Now I realize it probably would have been faster if I had painted the whole entire background white first and then drew my shapes. But it's up to you how you want to do it. Add details to the back and prepare to create your art for your mobile. Enjoy! Can't wait to see what your mobile looks like.